Hello guys and welcome back. Please excuse the football kit that I'm wearing. I filmed a video previously to this one for a friend of mine on his football channel called the Dugout Podcast. And that's what I've got going on over here. So also you could just excuse it as Casual Friday, but you could say I've been casual since lockdown started. So in this episode, we'll be taking a look at how cities will look post-COVID-19. So globalization is crazy, isn't it? The Earth is one global village. Isn't it crazy how a small town in China can come into contact with an infectious virus and all of a sudden it's spread across the world? So now you find that you have people within your own community wearing masks and you think, wow, we're so far away from China and look at the effect it's having on my community. COVID-19 has affected us all. We are in search of a vaccine and a cure. We are not sure when that will happen and when it will reach the global population. We can be certain that the impacts of this pandemic will affect generations to come. So firstly, we have to ask, what is a city? A city is a large metropolitan region made up of a large built-up area, and it is governed by its own local authority. A town is larger and more populated than a village, but smaller and less populated than a city. It was generally accepted for a place to be called a city, it would have a cathedral in it. But today we see many cities that do not have cathedrals. Cities and towns differ in many different comparisons, such as its geographical size, population size, legal status, and the status the authority present there gives itself. My understanding would be that towns are parts of the urban fabric of cities. They are large formal townships or a collection of smaller townships. An example would be Pinetown. It is a town that is part of the eThekwini Metropolitan Municipality and it is just inland from the city of Durban. The city of Durban has within it a CBD. The city of Durban has within it a collection of suburbs and towns, and it has the local authority present in it as well. I personally would say cities have the presence of a domestic or international airport. Another example would be Pietermaritzburg, which is the administrative capital of the provincial government of KwaZulu-Natal. Pretoria is the capital city of South Africa because it is the administrative capital of national government. Let's look at how past pandemics have had an influence on urban planning and architecture. In the 14th century, the bubonic plague wiped out about a third of Europe's population, which inspired the Renaissance cities of the 16th century. Architectural elements of the Renaissance period include facades, domes, and columns. When we look at the rebuilding of Rome during this period, issues such as circulation, water supply, and sanitation were tackled. The design of cities in this period improved because of colonialism, exploration, and trade. Art projects such as monuments and statues also had an important part to play in the beautifying of cities. In this period, churches started seeing how their position grew weaker in terms of power, order, and control within cities. In Rome, we saw popes spend extravagantly on architecture, sculptures, and paintings. They used this as a mechanism to recapture their lost influence. A known example of this is St. Peter's Basilica, which is a church built in the Vatican City. The 18th century yellow fever and 19th century cholera brought boulevards to Paris and improved waterways of London. It initiated a standard of disease mapping and formed the early suburbs. In the 20th century, diseases such as TB, typhoid, polio, and the Spanish flu encouraged disaster management urban planning and prompted slum clearance, tenure reform, and waste management such as sewers. In the 21st century, we have come across the SARS virus, swine flu, MERS, Ebola, and Zika fever. We've also had different cases of bird flu. They have taught cities to have mitigation measures in place for invisible enemies. We have realized the importance of having ready, mobilized quarantine centers. We've learned that there needs to be a humanitarian context in quarantine to address basic human needs like information, sanitation, food, water, and hygiene systems. We've come to realize that crisis situations intensify existing vulnerabilities. In informal settlements, poor infrastructure further disadvantage the urban poor. Households and communities without access to these basic human services rely on aid and water delivered to them by agencies or the government. So let's look at current challenges that cities and local authorities are facing. We can see that rapid urbanization is happening and cities have a growing demand. It is projected that 7 billion people will live in urban areas by the year 2050. The lack of access to services in densely populated informal settlements, such as clean water and ablution facilities, affects the ability to practice good hygiene and stopping the spreading of the virus. Land use planning and the issuing of building permits affects the rolling out of human settlements and the delivery of services. The reblocking of informal settlements for safety or temporarily relocating dwellers for informal settlements upgrading is being delayed because important role players are facing roadblocks. Another challenge is responsible citizenry. We find that many people are not obeying the laws of the country. We find that many people are not obeying the orders given to them by governments. Let's look at the future of cities. From our homes, from our phones, I'm sure we have seen videos of nature reclaiming the earth back from humans. We've seen animals in the streets. We've seen animals take over towns. We are seeing less waste, less pollution, less litter. And I think it is a beautiful thing to see. And I think we are becoming more conscious of our impact on the environment. While being confined to our quarters, we notice how much we waste. I think we've seen people that are coming out with upcycled furniture. We are seeing people that are recycling. And I think these practices will go forward post COVID-19. There's a need for placemaking and a health-conscious city and citizen. We need places for people and not for cars. That could be our sidewalks, that could be urban centers, more pedestrianized streets. We've seen that people have really taken to exercise and getting out there. And before it might not have been common, but now it's like we've noticed that, hey, this is like really good for us, and why haven't we been doing it more? I can also say that I've really found a love for fitness, and I had to find it in lockdown. Not being able to move has really given you an appreciation for moving your body and getting out there. Great placemaking allows us to build stronger communities. It allows us to socialize and interact. There's a need for sunshine and fresh air. I think that will have a great impact on architecture as well. We will find homes and buildings being designed to take in more light. These practices are currently happening, but I think we will push boundaries. There's a greater need for surveillance as well. People want to be able to see each other, build community bonds. When we are closed up and have high walls, we can become very isolated. Urban gardens, do you have a green thumb? Maybe you'll be planting some vegetables. I think it is a problem that society has where we depend on a grocer to get our food from far away places. We don't know how this food turns on the shelf. We can start planting our own fruits and vegetables. We can have our own vegetable gardens. Producing something that you know that you have grown organically and putting on your table to feed your family is really a great thing. And people can grow their own vegetables as a community, as a close-knit community. That really brings people together as well. Restaurants and deliveries. I think we all have some of our favorite restaurants. We go there possibly maybe for the aesthetic, the vibe, the food, the drinks. We've seen these bespoke and artisanal restaurants now realizing that they can't only depend on their foot traffic, and we're seeing more of these companies expand into delivery services. I've seen vehicles that have these on-tap facilities to pour different craft beers, beer that comes to your home. So innovation and the use of mobile apps will see these restaurants relying on their technology. No more nightclubs? I mean, who killed the party? So we've all been impacted of not being able to go to our favorite hangout spots on a Friday night. We've seen the innovation of DJs like DJ Shimza having the lockdown party on Channel O. And we can still have fun at home. We can probably get together in a more small, controlled and intimate group of people that we actually like to hang around with and enjoy the music that we want to listen to. Nightclubs are using platforms like Zoom to have virtual nightclubs where we will see that there are DJs and dancers and barmen, but you can't get the drink, but you can still have the atmosphere and the vibe. Maybe you can cast it onto your TV and it will be like you are at the nightclub. And that's how many DJs are still getting their gigs, how the nightclub industry is staying alive and paying their bills. I mean, it's something that we can support, because if we let the industry die down, we affect music, we affect culture. There could be innovations like drive-in concerts where you drive in with your vehicle. You have one window open for ventilation, maybe only left windows are open, and you can enjoy the sounds from your car, comfortable, you're seated. I wouldn't mind going to a drive-in concerts. I think we'll also have the option of live streaming concerts. So what can come out of this? Maybe you've realized that you have a desire or a need to get more out there, gain more friends, be a bit more social. I think we'll see social clubs forming based on certain niches, or providing certain services, or providing certain entertainment, or entertaining different types of groups. So sports and sports stadia, sports teams that have stadiums, they rely on a fan base. They rely on these fans purchasing their food and beverages at their stadium and paying for tickets and season tickets, and that's how sport clubs will be able to be funded and to have money to be able to invest and keep alive. I don't see a long-term strategy of stadiums decreasing their capacity or having one seat marked with the cross where you can't sit and have the next seats available. I think that would be a really desperate move, but I don't think it will be as profitable as before. It's like possibly receiving half your value because you're missing every second person. Right now, we will see that our sports players and athletes, they are being screened and tested quite regularly. And I think with the innovation of surveillance, maybe that we can possibly be able to scan people that are coming to watch games. Maybe the design of stadiums will be to have seats spaced out a bit further than normally, like a small seat and you're sitting on top of another person. Or maybe there will be screens used, but we don't know. We can only speculate. In regards to movie theaters, I have not done my research on movie theaters, but I don't see anything happening there. I think this could be like Blockbuster, like movie theaters coming to an end. People are so used to renting movies online or purchasing a movie to download, streaming. Yeah, so I don't really use movie theaters a lot. So probably maybe in a year go to about maybe one or two. I'm so used to being in the comfort of my own home or my own bed and watching a movie. So in terms of schools, I think there is a real unevenness with the preparedness of returning to school. Government schools and private schools are quite different. I've seen how I've seen an image of kids at Curo, one student having a face shield, one having a mask, them having a food station, desks being far apart. But what we look at our government schools where there are learners like 40 to a class, or one teacher to maybe between 30 to 50 learners, it's hard to really have social distancing. And at the same time, we see many schools that are able to have the technology of online teaching. Young, malleable minds don't probably have the concentration or attention span to be able to watch a screen and stay diligent and take in the lesson. So many of these students are saying that they can't really learn in this manner. They need to have a face-to-face interaction. But it has really affected all types of schools. I've even seen Hmong students wearing face shields. So you would think that schools within the most remote villages are even affected by this COVID-19. Let's look at public transportation systems. Do we have the possibility of virus-free transit systems? I think in developing countries it's a bit more challenging. Where you see, like in Asian countries, there's buses that are overcrowded, or there's a high rate of volume of traffic, tuk-tuks as well, the interchanging of transports in African countries. You see the taxis as well. We can't really say that, well, there are different associations and there are different taxi owners. Can these role players equally be responsible for ensuring that there is a virus-free transit? It's different where you have a BRT where it's one company responsible for the cleaning, the servicing, the sanitizing, and there's one person responsible for the management of this, and there's one person accountable. When you look at the taxi system, it is a public-private system where, as in, these taxis don't just go and stay in a depot or a warehouse. They go to people's homes. So can they really be virus-free? But at the same time, we have to understand that they are providing a service where before there was no way of getting from these outside communities back to the city or from homelands to the city. They've provided a service where there wasn't. I think there is more to be done with from the government's transport side and passing over information to these different associations and passengers as well. At the same time, it's a bit unfair to see that the taxis can operate, but the trains can't operate. I think government has a responsibility of the issuing of information, whether it be in pamphlets or advertising. The end user and the person providing the service both need information on how they can prevent the spreading of viruses. And let's look at e-hailing services. With the popping up of more and more and more different service providers, you have your Ubers, you have your Bolts, now you have Yo Taxi. There needs to be regulation as well. And both governments and these service providers and the representatives of these service providers need to know each other. There needs to be a face-to-face contact and to ensure that there's a standard on an equal level and playing field, that all these e-hailing services provide the same level of sanitization. I'm keen to see how buses and taxis go about this, because I know they are having people sit in one seat and miss a seat. With airlines as well, it takes so much fuel to get that bird off the runway, and it's not really sustainable to not have these people in seats. I've seen a design where there are like these zigzag grid systems of screens where someone will be sitting forward, the other passengers will be sitting backward, and it interchanges where there is no face-to-face contact or face-to-head contact with a passenger in front of you or beside you. With shopping centers, I expect to see less traffic. More people will be deciding to use online platforms of getting their products or food even delivered to their doorstep and be sanitized. People are also preferring to do online shopping for clothing as well. Gone are the days of going into a shop and actually trying on a garment and knowing how it feels on your body. But this may allow more businesses and more SMEs to create these bespoke and boutique shops where startups actually get the space. But I could see as well that developers might opt for less GLA, and they'll need less spaces because there might not be everyone having a need to have a physical store. We see drop shipping as come to the fore, where people will get their products shipped from manufacturer, doesn't come into contact with the business, it goes straight to the end user. So everybody is panicking about the work from home situation. Well, we got to realize that not every business or industry has the setup of working from home. There are certain people that can work from home and it's not going to be everybody. But we got to realize there's choice as well. Not everybody wants to work from home. Maybe somebody has kids, or maybe they live in a rowdy community. It is not easy to concentrate on your task in front of you when you have all these distractions. So there you'll have that people will want the choice of going to a physical workplace environment where they know they are going there for that particular purpose, and the lines are not blurred between being at home and being at work. So we can expect more retrenchments. There are businesses and industries that can't open right now and they can't pay their staff, whether it be businesses such as ECD centers, whether it be restaurants. There are businesses that just simply can't afford to pay. And yes, there are these government assistances, but it can only go as far as it can. Yes, there will be retrenchments, and businesses will also opt for technology to take over because they don't have to pay technology. I mean, you'll pay the investments of getting the robots to do certain tasks, but thereafter that, it's just a bit of maintenance. It's not actually paying them a salary. So when we talk about the density debates, cities are being populated more and more year on year, and we have to plan for the delivery of services to be able to reach these communities within our cities. We can't have a situation where we have urban sprawl and services have to be extended and extended and extended. The infrastructure costs are too much. Mixed-use buildings and medium and higher density developments are not really a bad thing. So that is where the challenge lies. The issue is in the management and the design of that density. So let's look at what can be done by urban planners and policymakers. We need to ensure that citizens have access to basic services like water, housing, and healthcare. We need to decentralize essential services, and we also need to bring services to the people. Poor access to services makes lockdown measures impossible to comply with. We need to make social distancing possible. So that could be within our public spaces, that could be within our communities that we plan for, whether it be the sidewalks, whether it be parks, whether it be the human settlements that we plan for, the roads, even within informal settlement upgrading, there needs to be a way of saying, okay, there's not going to be overcrowding here. There needs to be a better approach to green and blue spaces. Our natural spaces, we need to manage them better. Also with water courses, flooding is a catalyst for epidemics and pandemics to start after natural disasters occur. We also need better city regional planning. We need to understand these networks, and we need to understand city and rural linkages. Blocking movements essentially disrupts economies. So let's look at how we build urban resilience from this. There will be new standards, new theories, and new knowledge that will change how urban planners zone cities and how we plan for infrastructure that will help stop the spreading of diseases through methods of ventilation and improved sanitation. Built environments, practitioners, and citizens need to keep pace with developments, and they also need to be able to adapt. There will be another outbreak of another type of disease. We have to use what we have learned from this to prepare disaster management plans to better equip us for future challenges. We will have to prevent or slow down and manage the next outbreak. Early action is of the utmost importance. We need to continually strive for better living conditions in cities. Better housing, sanitation, ventilation, and social services. They all play an important role in stopping the spreading of infectious diseases. In countries where resources and finances are not available, it is the responsibility of the international community to help with aid, resources, and funding. They can also help with sharing knowledge and medical personnel. Lastly, I want to look at how does South Africa's tourism industry recover. So with the international travel ban, it has been a major crisis for Africa and developing nations. It is undoubtedly clear that there will be billions of GDP lost across Africa. There's a major impact on economic and productive activity. There is a decline in financial flow and investments. So tourism has been hit very hard by this international travel ban. So how does South Africa recover? Well, Post COVID-19, I think we will see the Airbnb market surge. Maybe some people bought property as well, second properties, third properties, and they'll use those facilities to generate income. So I believe that market is going to boom. But I think that with the tourism sector, that we need to use this opportunity to get people to travel domestically, to travel to different parts of the country that they have never seen. Drop the rates and let's get people excited about traveling domestically and seeing new spots. It is our country, and as citizens, we need to see every part of it that we can. We will need to keep it alive. So it's obvious that people will be recovering all over the world. It's not going to be as soon as that international ban is lifted, people are going to be flooding places like the Kruger National Park. So we need to make these rates affordable to domestic citizens. So when borders open and people are allowed to travel domestically and they want to get out there and just have a break or get to see more parts of the country, we've got to realize that B&Bs, Airbnbs, small hotels, if they don't have a lot of people at one time, they are easily able to manage sanitization. So what can I see happening in that regard? I think I can see businesses within the hospitality industry sanitizing rooms and parts of their hotels and lodges in between guests. I think they can collect bedding and sanitize it straight away by washing it thermally, and we can continue to wear masks and face shields. I think within the hospitality industry as well, that the standards they impose on themselves is already quite high. But with governments as well coming to the party, we can impose stringent health standards that can really help prevent spreading diseases. At the same time, I don't think all their facilities need to be used, for example, a swimming pool, and I don't think they need to take 100% of bookings. They can gradually increase their bookings over a period of time. I think within the SADC region, we can create linkages and promote tourism within each country. There can be relationships with different people within the system, from the transportation side to the hospitality side, where these linkages are made within cities to city, within neighboring country to neighboring country. I also think we need to reaffirm or recommit our commitment to the construction industry, because in the creation of bridges, in the creation of overpasses, in the creation of well-maintained roads, with the infrastructure of ICT systems and networking, everyone benefits. So the country should really put a commitment stamp on construction, and we need to see infrastructure projects that put South Africa on the map. And in that, I think we can see that we will rise again and our economy can grow. We need to develop as a country. We need to develop our cities to be able to compete globally. We need to have the technology and innovation within our cities. We need to have smart cities to compete with the international markets. We need to say South Africa has this, South Africa has this, South Africa can do this for you. This is a great place for business. So what do we want to tell the world? We want to tell the world that South Africa is a safe and world-class destination to do business in. We want to say that while you are here, enjoy our country as if it is your own. So thank you for watching this video. Please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notification bell to get alerts to new videos. So let's please get involved in the conversation, and I can't wait to hear what you have to say. And I really appreciated doing this video for you. Till next time.